How you doing, everybody? My name is Glissen. I'm a dirt bike racer from New Jersey. I race the vet classes in number 248, and Matt from MXPTV did a video of me about a month or so ago and saw a lot of the questions that were on there, and we felt a lot of those questions should be answered. I appreciate everybody viewing the video, and it's crazy numbers. I heard it was something like over 27,000 people have viewed that video. That's amazing. Harold Glissen, race dirt bikes with one hand. Fortunately, I have an elbow. That's one of the ways I can hang on. I put my elbow between the clutch lever and the grip, and very, very fortunate to be able to ride a dirt bike as well as I can. It's something I've been doing since I was a young kid, and my dirt bike has taken me a lot of great places in life. Been able to meet a lot of great people, which if you're a motocross fan or a motocrosser, you know there's so many fantastic people in our sport. And I'm blessed to be able to ride a dirt bike as well as I can, and to meet all these fantastic people has been great. So some of the questions I heard or read was, is your bike set up differently than anybody else's? It is. In the beginning it wasn't. When I first started racing, my bike, my handlebars were the same as everybody else's. And one of the problems I had with that was the front of my Bell Moto 3. Some of you vets out there may know how long ago that was when they were making Bell Moto 3s. Used to get caught on the front brake cable after big landings. And when the suspension would unload, the brake cable, yes, cable, not brake line, would be caught on the front of my helmet. And a good friend of mine decided, hey, you know what we need to do? We need to put some higher handlebars on your bike to get your body more upright. And reluctantly, I agreed after some time, him convincing me. And 3 weeks later, I won the first 125 amateur race I ever won. That was back in the early 80s. And then he started brainstorming even more and decided we need to cut these handlebars in half and leave the high side on the left and put a stock lower side on the right, so my shoulders would be more parallel to the ground and my body would work more mechanically correct like everybody else's. And I said, hey, that sounds like a good idea. The next thing you know, after that, I got a little better, had a little more control, which is the most important thing, more control. And got my expert license in District 6 in 1990. And just kept progressing and staying at it, and a few injuries along the way, but it never deterred me from doing what I wanted to do, raced my dirt bike, and moving along, and I had enough district points in the expert class. I got my pro license in 1998, and never forget showing up at, we went to Atlanta Supercross. That was going to be my first pro race. Well, I walked the track and I felt that maybe that wasn't the best choice for a first pro race, and went and raced Tampa the following week, and it was a mud fest, and which may have been a blessing in disguise in a way. Didn't have to do the triples, but had a great time in the mud. Oh my God, were there some ruts. And after my qualifier, I got back to the RV, and the first person there was Davey Combs with a camera in my face asking me all kinds of questions, how I did it, and there were some Japanese guys there with cameras as well and taking pictures of my handlebars and my triple clamps and all that. And it's pretty interesting. I was just trying to get the mud off my face and, you know, trying to catch my breath. And it was pretty exciting just to be out there with the riders I was able to race with. And I raced the Daytona Supercross the next week in 1998. And by that time, the word had already got around that, you know, there was a one-arm guy out there racing dirt bikes, racing motocross, Supercross. And I was in Cycle News already the following week. Got to meet a lot of great people. Got a few sponsors. And still moving forward with riding my dirt bike. Absolutely love it. Now I'm in my 40s. I raced the vet classes and had some recent success lately, winning down in North Carolina, Virginia. And a few years back, I got invited to race a series called the Extremity Games, which is racing against other competitors who may have been born with missing a limb like myself, or may have lost a limb due to some type of accident. And I got to tell you, some of the guys that I race with, like Monster Mike Schultz, Jim Wozni, Chris Ridgway. These guys are all missing a leg due to an accident, and man, do I give them all kinds of props for being able to come back from such a horrific injury and be able to ride a dirt bike as well as they can. And I mention these guys mainly because I look up to them, and they've been able to beat me on this motocross track that we've been racing at Baja Acres out in Michigan, the Extremity Games. These guys are awesome, and last year at the Extremity Games, I finished 4th, and really looking forward to go back out there this year, a little more prepared, and really looking forward to it. So I'm going to go over a couple things that enable me to ride my dirt bike as well as I can, and hopefully answer some of the questions that are out there. Some of the questions were, how does he work the clutch? Well, I work the clutch lever with my elbow, like I always have. But several years ago, I got introduced to a company called Recluse, and got hooked up with them. They've been helping me now for about 6 or 7 years. And the clutch is kind of like riding an old school semi-automatic, like a CT50 or 70. You know, you can sit there with the bike at idle, click the bike in gear, and it'll sit there until you turn the throttle. But at the same time, at high revs, you can use the clutch lever, like I do on the start. And other things that help me hold on to my bike is Scott steering stabilizer that I use. A friend of mine, Scott Lukaitis, set me up with one of those when he was at an old shop called Free Old Honda here in New Jersey, and set me up with one of those. I got to say it's 5 or 6 years ago, and a couple years ago I contacted Scott's out there, and they set me up with a couple more from the factory over there. Those real nice guys, and they set me up with a couple for my other bikes, my 450 and my 250 two-stroke. Applied triple clamps. They're rubber mounted, which takes away some of the vibration, and it enables me to change the rise of the handlebar. I have their highest clamp, and then also back in the 80s I manufactured a riser myself long before they were making aftermarket risers that you can buy now, which brings my handlebars up and back, which once again gets me more in an upright position, more in attack mode like everyone else. But we still use the same handlebars for the most part that we used back in the 80s. We have a jig, and we buy steel bars, and we have a jig so they all come out identical. And some of the problems we had with the bars over the years was the crossbar would break. So what we did was we took an aluminum crossbar that just bolts in. We started using that, and now fortunately we stopped breaking handlebars. Obviously you need great suspension, you know. Everybody should have that, whether you have one hand or two hands. And Kessler Pro Suspension has been helping me out with that for decades now, and they work great. Who else helps out? FMF, he's been helping. Those guys are great over there. Bike runs great with that. All right, some people want to know what do I do to my left arm to protect it. Obviously they don't make gloves to fit it. So what I've come up with over the years is I put powder on my arm first, and then a real soft sock, real thin soft sock on the inside here. And then I put a lap of hockey tape around there to hold it on my elbow so it doesn't come down. And then the second sock, we take some neoprene from a knee brace and sew it on the outside of the elbow area there. And what that does is enable me to rub that against the clutch lever, because if you think about it, in essence, this is my thumb right here. It prevents me from going forward just like your thumb would on my throttle hand and your hands. So with these two socks placed with tape, and a third sock goes over that, which is a thicker sock because it has to endure the grip, which on the left side I go through a lot of grips. People think I ride with one hand, but I really don't. So the hockey tape will go around there. I have the second sock underneath there with the neoprene, because that's where the clutch lever would ride. And I'll get on the bike and I'll show you how I hold on. The left arm goes between the clutch lever and grip. and it works pretty well. And like I said, the handlebars are higher on the left to try to keep my shoulders more parallel to the ground so my body works correctly. And it works pretty well. Very blessed to be able to ride a dirt bike as well as I can. Thanks for all the questions and comments. And some of them were pretty interesting. And I really appreciate the time. Thank you. I mentioned a few of my sponsors earlier. I'll admit I was a little nervous, so I forgot one. A very important one. Stumpy's Yamaha. I can't tell you how many people have asked me, do you own Stumpy's Yamaha? I do not own Stumpy's Yamaha, but I really appreciate all the help that they've given me over the years. It's just one of those funny things. You just wind up where you should be, I guess. Thanks.